It was a cold evening in Arizona, the kind where the desert wind cuts through uniforms and silence feels heavier than usual. A trained police K9 named Rex was moving steadily beside his handler during a routine patrol along a rarely used highway. Everything seemed normal until Rex suddenly stopped. His body went stiff, ears alert, eyes fixed ahead. The handler felt the tension through the leash immediately. Rex was highly trained, disciplined, and never broke formation without reason. Something unseen had caught his attention, something that didn't belong in the quiet stretch of road. Without warning, Rex began barking, loud, sharp, and desperate. It wasn't an aggressive bark, but one filled with urgency. He pulled toward an abandoned roadside shelter, half hidden by darkness and broken fencing. The handler tried to calm him, but Rex refused to back down. Years of experience told the officer this was no false alarm. The barking echoed across the empty road as Rex circled the structure, sniffing frantically near warped wooden boards and debris scattered by the wind. Whatever was there, Rex was determined to be heard. The officers approached cautiously and pushed aside the loose boards. What they saw made them freeze. Lying on the cold ground was a pregnant woman, her clothes torn and covered in dust. Her skin was pale, lips cracked, breathing shallow and uneven. She was barely conscious, eyes half open but unfocused. It was clear she had been there for hours, maybe longer, exposed to the cold with no food or water. Rex immediately sat beside her, whining softly now, as if his job was finally done. The handler radioed for medical assistance while kneeling beside the woman. She tried to speak, but no words came out. Her hand moved weakly toward her stomach, a silent plea. The officer covered her with a jacket and reassured her help was coming. Later, doctors would say that if Rex had barked even 10 minutes later, both lives might have been lost. Severe dehydration, hypothermia, and exhaustion had pushed her body to its limit. The timing wasn't luck, it was instinct, training, and an animal's refusal to give up. Paramedics arrived quickly, loading the woman onto a stretcher as Rex watched closely, eyes never leaving her face. The sirens faded into the distance as the patrol car followed the ambulance toward the hospital. Only then did the handler fully realize what had just happened. This wasn't just another patrol, another report, another night on duty. A life and an unborn one had been pulled back from the edge, and it all started with a dog who stopped, listened, and barked when no one else could hear. 4 days passed in uneasy silence, each one heavier than the last. Ethan Walker tried to return to his routine, but his thoughts kept drifting back to the child he had found near the desert highway. He remembered the small hands, shaking as they accepted food, the frightened eyes that watched every movement, and the way the child vanished before dawn, without a sound. Ethan had reported what he could, but there were no answers, no follow-up, only questions that lingered in his mind. He wondered if the child had survived, or if the desert had claimed another life. On the 4th evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a quiet knock came at Ethan's door. It wasn't urgent or demanding, just calm and patient. When he opened the door, his breath caught in his throat. 3 Apache women stood before him, their posture strong, their expressions solemn. They said nothing at first. The desert wind stirred their hair as they met his gaze, eyes filled with something deeper than words, something that carried both pain and gratitude. One of the women stepped forward and spoke softly, her voice steady but emotional. "You saved our blood, our future." The words settled heavily in the air. She explained that the child Ethan had rescued was from their tribe, lost during a desperate flight across the desert. For 4 days, they had searched without rest, through heat, cold, and fear, following any sign, any hope. When they finally found the child alive, they knew who had made that survival possible. Ethan tried to wave off their gratitude, calling it a small act, something anyone would have done. But the women gently shook their heads. To them, this was not small. In their culture, saving a child was an act that created a bond, a debt of honor that could never be forgotten. They offered their thanks not loudly, not dramatically, but with dignity and respect that spoke louder than any reward. At the same time, miles away in a quiet hospital room, the pregnant woman rescued by police slowly regained her strength. Tubes and monitors surrounded her, but her breathing was steady, her condition improving. When a nurse asked if there was anything she needed, she asked only one question. Did they find the dog? She remembered the barking through the fog of fear, the sound that refused to fade. That sound meant life. The police K9 Rex was later honored for bravery and instinct beyond training. 2 lives saved, 2 moments of courage, unfolding on the same night. Different places, different people, yet bound together by compassion. Sometimes heroes don't wear uniforms. Sometimes they arrive on 4 legs, listen to what others cannot hear, and bark until the world pays attention.